Okay, so for those who are going to teach, I hope this will be very helpful. This is how we can use LaTeX to write exams. So not only are you going to have access to all of the math stuff that LaTeX can do, but there's actually an exam class, and it has a whole bunch of of features, functions, commands that you can use to write an exam. And we're going to look at them today. I think it's great. So the first thing that I just want to show you, this is I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put this document in the public 696 folder. And so this is just kind of a generic, well, not generic. It's something that I use for a recent Calc 3 exam. Okay, so what's going on here? So the first thing that I want to point out here is that the document class is not article, it's exam. So there's an exam document class. So that's the first thing. All of this stuff right here, this is just, well, aside from this package, exam randomized choices, which we'll talk about in a minute, like all of this stuff right here is basically stuff that I have in all of my LaTeX documents, and I just copy and paste it from one document to the next document. This right here is for margins and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about this. It's just there. And if you pressed me, I could tell you what some of this stuff is, but like I said, it's mostly just what I copy from one LaTeX document to another. At some point I knew what it was, and that's why I added it. It does something, it solves some specific problem that I have, but I forget what that is now. Okay, anyways. So what's happening here, if you see all of this stuff right here, like this stuff right here is not something that's pre-populated by LaTeX. It's something that I had to sort of add manually, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So first, first right here, I define different variables. I'm going to get rid of that for now. Class is Math 251, term is this is the exam, so on and so forth. Because basically what happens is I use this whole thing right here, like this whole upper block, I use from exam to exam. I just change what the class is, which exam number it is, stuff like that. So I have these variables here. And then this stuff right here does all of this upper stuff here, or does this kind of header right here above this solid black line. Okay, so we got the time limit, the exam number, the exam date, stuff like that. And again, if you want to design this differently, you can just, if you want to have this go, if you don't want to have the fall, or if you want to have the exam one above the fall or whatever, you can change all of that around by ordering this stuff differently over here. Okay. This next part right here, so there's a vertical, a horizontal line. That's what this, so this thing right there is that horizontal line there, and then I have all of this stuff here where I have the general exam instructions, and then of course the Aggie honor code there, and another solid line. Now one thing that you can do that I typically don't do because I do everything on Gradescope, you can add a grade table. So you can have something like this. And so I'm going to show you what this looks like. I only have one question on the exam now, and so like if you were grading this, I grade everything on Gradescope, so I don't use this, but if you were grading things by hand, you could put the score there. The other reason I don't like to use this is because I don't want to have a student's score on the cover of the exam, because if you're passing them back, then other students can see it. But again, this is just sort of your preference. Okay, so now there's an environment in the exam class called questions. So you do begin questions, so you have begin questions here and in questions here, and then within that you can put questions. So I have begin question and in question. And if you don't do that, like if you were to get rid of this and recompile, there's going to be a problem because it says like you've started questions but there is no question, and if you come here it's going to say missing an item. So anyways, I'm going to put that back. And you can put your math question here. So right now it just says question, but I could say, a math question. Like let's say compute the integral, let's do the antiderivative of sine x dx. Okay, so when I recompile, this is what we have. Now this block down here this block down here is obviously where the students are going to put their answers. And that's given by the begin solution or box command. So this is the begin, this is the solution or box environment. So what does that do? Well, if you don't want to print the solution, it gives a box. This right here tells you how long the box should be. The stretch tells you how long. So you could do something like 4 inches. Let's do 2 inches. And it would make a smaller box. Like if you want to have multiple questions per page, the stretch thing just stretches it down that number of pages. So if you do 2, you're going to get a box. Sorry, I thought you would have gotten a box that goes on to 2 pages. Sorry, that's embarrassing. I never do that anyways. I only ever do 1. So sorry. Okay, you get something like that. Okay, so what is this solution or box thing? Well, you might have noticed this command up here, print answers. So I have this commented out, so the command's not doing anything. But if you don't have it commented out, so if it runs, well, what's going to happen is it's going to, so let's say I have the solution here, so, int sine x dx is equal to minus cosine x plus c. Okay, so actually, let me run this with this command commented out. It should look exactly like it does now. Okay, so now I'm going to print the answers and run this, and now it puts the answer there. Okay, so why do you want to use this? Well, you don't have to type 2 documents. You don't have to type 1 document with the solutions and 1 document without the solutions. You just type 1 document and then comment out comment this out if you don't want to have the solutions displayed. Okay, so this is the basic overview of an exam class. A document in the exam class. Let's say you want to add another question on the next page. So new page, begin, question. The 7 here is where that 7 points come from. So if I want to do a different number of points, like 87, you have another question here. So I'm going to recompile it. Of course, it doesn't have to be on the next page. It could be on this page as well. And we get something like that. Oh, solution or box. So I do a lot of copying and pasting. And we have something like this. And again, if I want to not have the solutions, if you have the command print answers, if you do have this like on, the solution is just going to be a small box, even if the other box was a big box. So now this is what we have here. Okay, so again, basic exam. I do want to say one other thing about this. Where does this come from? This is the running header rule. So you can put different things up here as well. So for example, some exams, I want them to put their name on every single page. So I might, instead of having the exam 1, I might give like a different spot for the name, something like this. Oops. And so we have something like that. And then if you want to keep the date, keep it. If not, get rid of it. Whatever you want to do. Anyways, so I mean, again, the best way to kind of do this is to just, tell yourself, I'm going to write an exam in this. And then when you come up to a feature that you need to have that you don't know about, then you can, figure out how to do that feature. Another thing that I'm going to show you this week is how to do a multiple choice exam. And how to do different versions of a multiple choice exam. We'll see all of that this week as well. I think that's incredibly helpful when writing exams. So we'll see that as well coming up in subsequent videos.